What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. Welcome to day 193 of the 365-day graphic novel review challenge. Today, I want to talk to you about The Highways. This was written and drawn by John Byrne. This is a 4-issue miniseries from IDW, and the story here is that there's this guy, I don't even remember his name, but it's this guy on the cover here. He joins this shipping company, interspatial shipping company, and then there is a mystery going on. As soon as he gets on the ship, they are sent to Europa, which is one of the moons of Jupiter or Saturn, I think, and once they get there, the people on this station at Europa, they are saying, no, we didn't call for a ship to come here and drop this stuff off, and then all sorts of weird stuff starts happening on the station, and then they try to leave, and then more weird stuff starts happening, and then they are thrust into a really weird situation. And ultimately, I found this book to go by really fast and not in a good way. It's not like, oh, I just couldn't put it down, I just had to know what happened next. It went by so fast that at times I found myself wishing that this book would slow down so that I could figure out what was going on. There are quite a few characters in this book, almost too many for a 4-issue miniseries. And I know if this was 5 or 6 issues long, I probably would have said that you could have cut an issue and kind of condensed the plot a little bit. But in this case, it's not necessarily the plot that's a problem, it's that there are so many characters. And in the span of 4 issues, I can't get to know all these characters. I don't know what I feel about most of these characters because before I can get to know any of them, something happens and then I'm being blown off my feet before I can really figure out what I think about this story and what I think about these characters. There are 3 main characters, I guess, and then there's a whole bunch of other characters. A few of them, you think they're going to be important, and then we just kind of leave that setting and we don't go back to them, and then we're introduced to a whole bunch of other characters about halfway into this book. And it makes me really wish that this story could have just been about 2 issues longer, and we could have just slowed down a little bit so that we could get to know some of these characters. And it becomes even more problematic because there are 3 characters in this book who are twist-ending characters. There are 3 of them who we are led to believe that they are one thing, and then it's like, surprise, just kidding, I'm actually doing something else entirely. There's one character, actually, who does that 3 different times. So I literally have no idea what to think of that character other than we cannot trust her at all, because I think it's about in every single issue that we see her in, she will say, okay, this is what's going on, and then you turn the page, it's like, just kidding, I'm a liar and you can't trust me. And then she does this several times, and then by the end of the book, she's saying, well, aren't you guys gonna speak up for me and kind of defend me in this situation? She's being arrested, and I'm thinking, why should they? You've lied to them in literally every page of this book that you've been in, and it's really difficult for me to get a read on this character. She can be a bad guy, but I still at least need to understand her motivations, because ultimately I'm having trouble understanding what motivates her, because she's kind of untrustworthy even when she's with her allies. And then there's other characters in this book who are supposed to be good guys, and I have a trouble reading them also. I can't really figure out what they're all about. There's one guy at the end of the book I can kind of figure him out, but then the rest of the book, that means that he was kind of a charade, and there wasn't really an actual character there for the rest of the book. He was basically just pretending throughout the entire thing. And ultimately, I think that the story here is interesting, but all of the characters are pretty vapid and shallow, and I don't think that John Byrne put nearly enough thought process into creating these characters and fleshing them out. And I think that he could have done that, because there are plenty of other stories out there where he will create characters, and in a very short amount of time, he is able to make me care about those characters. Unfortunately, The Highways is just not an example of him doing that. So unfortunately, even if you are a fan of John Byrne, you will probably like this for his artwork, but you probably will not like this for his story or his characters here. So unfortunately, I would say if you are a fan of John Byrne, give this book a skip. If you're not a fan of John Byrne, definitely give this book a skip. So those are my thoughts on The Highways, a 4-issue miniseries from IDW, and I hope that you guys liked this video, and if you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a different video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.